healer coming in to do my morning card, my morning card of the day, and just waiting for people to join in. But this is my 45 days of introduction into the Everyday Goddess Oracle cards. So this is my new deck of Oracle cards. The box cover you can see in the pink behind me, and this is the From the Shadows work. This is about being able to work our way through the shadow work by seeing the beauty within. And that's how these cards work. So I just want to make sure I'm up. Oh, there we go. Good morning, Carlene and Ashley. Beth, good morning. Good morning. So nice to see everybody. Just getting up on my phone like I do every day so that I can see everyone, see how many we have joining in before I actually start. So yesterday we had Valentine's Day. Today we have Family Day. And I've been off for so long that today is a little bit of a me day, but a little bit of a work day as well. I'm still not pushing myself all the way back into work, but we are here. So for anyone who would be just coming in and have not been watching these morning lives, that you can go back and watch all the way from day 1, which was card 0, all the way to today. We're working on card 13. You can see it on YouTube or on Facebook. This is broadcasting simultaneously on both at the same time. So if you have not been watching these cards, these are my Oracle cards. This is me introducing my own work into the world right now, and what I've created through the past few years. And this deck of Oracle cards is also the artwork is done by a beautiful young lady named Amelia Richard, who is the artist. And but the creation is mine. There's all channeled through sketches. The idea, the words, the thoughts all came through over the past few years through sketchbooks and notebooks. If you know me and you know my work, you know that I have little tiny pieces of paper everywhere, and I have hundreds. I'm like, if I am to leave this earth, my family will find notes everywhere. So I have booklets on top of booklets that are written like this, my notes in my phone that I then print out of this work, of all of these cards, of all of this that I do. It's everywhere. So these cards are a little bit of all of that, just like the books. So this one goes with the series of the books, not so much just the first book. So my first book being the More Than Existing, the Oracle cards goes with it. It's all in the family of More Than Existing, because it's all the shadow work. It's coming from the shadows all the way down to coming home. So the last book that I'm writing, not my last book ever, but the last book in the series was Wine and Chips, and then the new book of the New Beginning is The Way. So it even ties into that book as well. So good morning. Happy Family Day, Brenda. And Rita, hello. And Teresa, hello. And Mary Ann, I'm probably not going to get as many in here today because it is Family Day, and some people have a life. Some people have a life outside of the home. For me, this is part of my life, is this work. So today our card that we have, I'm going to bring the card up, and as you can see, the cover to the box cover is behind us, and on the other side is one of the cards that's in there. This is Davina over there. And so this is our card of today, and this is the unassuming. This is Amara. And Amara is a beautiful card. I believe she's from, I don't know where my paper is. Let me see if I can find my paper so I know where they're all from. I think she's from the Crone energy. I'm just, believe it or not, they're all just on the floor right here because I just lost them all. No, I don't see it. So I think she's in the Crone family is where she comes from. Whoops. That's where we placed her. Yes, she would be. She's 13. She's still in the Crone family. So this beautiful Mara is in the Crone family. Or sorry, in the Maiden family. I don't know where that just came from. I've got Crone stuck in my head all morning because we are rebuilding a lot of my work. And so a lot of my work is based around me being like the Crone counselor now of wisdom and knowledge, and changing a lot of my work into counseling work. So a lot of my work that you're going to see come out will be more in mentoring, counseling, guiding through as we go forward. So just you'll just see some changes come on my pages is what you'll start to see. And and so this beautiful card, good morning everyone who's joining. And this is the unassuming, and this is the back of the oracle cards, and this is a door, this is a portal door, and we all have these, throughout life. You don't realize how much energy you're walking through. You don't realize how much, how many doors you walk through, how many energies you walk through. So wherever you're walking, someone may have just walked through there, and you just walk through their energy. So if you're on a walking trail and you're walking past people, you literally are walking through each other's energy, and there's that unassuming change like in your energy. And so it's the same thing with people. We don't really know we don't always know what's happening within with why we change so much so quickly. So you could have just walked by somebody, and then you're like, why do I feel like this now? Why all of a sudden do I not feel well? Why do I all of a sudden feel crabby, cranky? Why do I all of a sudden feel this way? And it's because we walk through energy, right? And so when you're walking outside, you're walking through anywhere, you're always in a shifting of energy. And I just feel need to tell you that, Samara. I don't know who that's for, as we're waiting for people to come in. So this beautiful card, 13 is actually my lucky number. And you know how we get into superstitions, and the superstitions are conditioned fears that are brought to us, that are often given to cause fear in the beginning. They want people to be afraid of something. So don't go outside on Friday the 13th. Don't do this. Friday the 13th is the most horrible number. What makes it so horrible is the fact that we have created a fear story around it, and that fear, the illusion of fear being there. So we create fear before it starts. So we make it out to be a bad day before it starts. So then the rest of the day is going to be a bad day. And that's how energy works, is that once you contribute that energy, once you attach a story to it and you give it that energy, then the rest of the day is going to be that way. So that's right. You never looked at it like that, did you, Rita? Right? Because we don't. That's my thing. That's what my whole life has been like, is that I've always looked beyond. I'm like, that just don't make sense to me. Why would a number be that powerful? That's just stupid. And so I would always think beyond that. And so that whole sense of the number 13, Friday the 13th is only such an unlucky day, because the moment you wake up and go, oh God, it's Friday the 13th, everything is going to go wrong. Everything is going to go bad. That means everything's going. So you already created the story of the day. You already created your reality, the illusion of the reality of the truth that you're going to live in all day. So words only have energy because you supply it energy. Numbers only have energy because you give it energy. Everything only has the energy that you give it. The same with somebody's remarks or comments. It's only the energy that you provide, that you want to keep the story alive, because it allows you to be victim to the circumstance or to the story. So you want to be the victim to your Friday the 13th, then go ahead. If you want to have that kind of day, go ahead. So if a moment happens and you can say, well, that was just a moment. Like, I just had a shitty ass moment instead of a shitty ass day, because a shitty ass moment, right? A moment that's not so great, a moment that's kind of can one moment can ruin your whole day, or you can allow it to be a moment. And that's where we start to make the shifts and changes. Do you allow every moment that happens become your defining moment for the rest of your day? That every single moment that goes beyond that is then the moment that's going to be just like the moment that I originally had. Well, that's how we live in the past. We live in the past that way, based on, this is what I experienced in the past. So that means every other person I meet like this is going to be like that. Every person that looks like this is going to be like that. And that's the truth that we create, and we live in that. And so this so unassuming is that, don't assume you know somebody. Don't create a story about somebody. Don't allow yourself to create a story about you based on who or what you were in the past. Being able to move beyond that. So the writing that originally came with this was the unassumingly judged by the appearance, by the so-called appearance, is sometimes the thing that frustrates you the most. So being assumingly, we assume somebody is this, we assume somebody is that. And I remember people always saying, when all the years in the hairdressing industry, it would get so frustrating in the beginning, and I would take it so freaking personally and so hard to the heart that it would hurt so hard when we say, oh, all hairdressers are like this, or all hair salons are like this, all hairdressers are all gossips, all this. And I say, that was the most disheartening thing to hear. And when people would speak to you as if you're not human. So then in this industry, it was like, well, all mediums, you're all fakes, you're all phonies, you're all this, you're all that. That whole judgment that we place out there. And I'm like, people are so assuming to their judgments. Like they take such conviction to it because there might have been a bad experience, because there may have been a moment, or because somebody was so afraid that you were going to, that you were going to expose them for everything that they just let go and let out of, that they're going to make you out to be the bad person before they get that opportunity. And those moments that you then carry, they then have you creating your identity. They have you creating how you're going to show up. That's when you start to protect yourself. So you start to become protective. If that's what you think of me, if that's what you want to think of me, then F you. I will give you something to talk about. I'll give you something. So then you become hard, and you harden yourself, and you close yourself off. So there's such frustration in that assumption and assuming we know somebody based on the story of what they were when they were 20. So, and you often hear me speak about that. I remember people saying, oh, well, you remember, you did that. Remember what you did when you were 12? Remember what you did when you were 13? I'm like, fuck, I barely remember what I did yesterday, but thanks for reminding me. And the only way most of your stories and your reputation or the energy of all of that stays alive is because people keep repeating it. If we let something end, we let something die, then it goes. So it's like that whole unassuming, right? Ashley, you get this. Amy, I always say hello in passing, and it's used to bother me when people never reciprocate. I've trained myself not to worry about things like that. Yes, exactly, Amy, right? It's like we can't assume. So I'm going to go to Amy's story for a moment here because it just makes such sense. And it's like I walk a lot. Well, not right now in the cold, but I remember being out on the trail this summer. And I was out walking and I was having kind of a crappy day. So I went for an extra long walk. And as I'm walking, I passed this young girl and she had earbuds in her ears. And I said hello to her. And she just walked past me, like no look, no nothing, just walked past me. And I thought in my head for a moment, I judged her. And I'm not even going to lie. I went, why are they so rude? Why is this young generation so rude? Two judgments in one statement. I placed two judgments in my being upset in that moment but it had nothing to do with her. It was the fact that I had just experienced another heartbreak moment of hearing another comment about me that kind of hurt my heart. And I was out walking, and then this poor girl happened to be on a trail, and I just wanted someone to say hello to me. I don't see very many people. I just wanted someone to say hello. So on my way back, I found myself hearing God's voice just saying, sit your ass there. My spirit guides, whoever it was talking to me. Sit your ass and look at the geese. Just sit and shut up. Shut up your own story. Just sit down. So I sat. Well, that same girl came walking past. When she walked past me this time, she stopped right in front of me and she handed me a flower. And she said to me, I think you need this today. I see you. And I started to cry. And I started to cry. And in my heart, I just said, I am so sorry. I shall never do that again. And that's where this card came from. I love the youth. I love what I learned from the youth. I love the younger generations. I have a young daughter who I learned so much from. And there's such truth, and she's been judged so much based on her beauty, her light, her strength, her confidence, her not willingness to take shit. Like there's so many things that you place out, and in that moment of sitting with that little yellow flower, I needed that more that day than I needed anything, because it's been a tough go. It's been a tough go these past, I won't say the past 20 years, and being business owner and growing your businesses and being in two businesses that really left me in roles where your reputation is so judge. Your reputation is built by other people, not by you. Nothing that you do. And I would say people didn't even know me from behind the chair. Most didn't even know my last name. Most people didn't know who I was. People here don't know me, only what they know of what I share. And I'm like, but people assume what they know. Right. And so in that moment of passing that woman, I realized how much we do that ourselves. Everything that we don't want, we also do ourselves. So it was a very big awareness for me to really catch myself in those moments. What I don't want done to me, I refuse to do to anyone else. And so really truly taking off any sense of judging any generation, judging anyone with a different view, anything, opening our mind and allowing ourselves to see that that person may that's passing us may be thinking the same thing as us, and why we're feeling their energy, why we're because we both have the same story in our heads that is happening. So when we move beyond the story in our head, we start to remember the beautiful things, start to remember the great things in life. Ah, thank you, Heather. See, and then someone from my past just walks in and just tells me she remembers my beautiful self. So in hearing all the things that are about you, or you start to create a story that I must have been such a bad human being. And I spent a long time in the past few years thinking, I gotta be a better human being. I must have been such an awful human being. And then I started to remember with that little yellow flower, I start to remember all the good things about me. And I was a good human being. I did a lot of good things in life, but you forget those. And so we forget them about people as well. And we forget the good that people do behind those roles. And I would say my business, that business we had, there was a lot of little organizations that came to us for donations, for help, and so when you allow the hurt to outweigh the good, and you forget that, people forget that you're human, or they don't know you're human. And we didn't have a need to pray, to parade it out there. We donated this, we did this, we did that. You don't need to do that when you don't have an ego. You just do what you do because that's the way that you are. That's the way we're raised. We're raised to do good things for good people. And so you return to that and you remember that. But yes, Amy, exactly right. So that changes the story. And when you can change that story, you change that perspective. And so maybe sometimes it's our chance to stop and to hand that little flower to somebody, to give that little moment. So when I got that flower, as I was walking up back around, a little rock, one of those rocks that people hide with the little sayings, was there. So I picked up the rock and I'm like, oh, I'll take it and hide it somewhere else. And then I said, no, I'll just take a picture of it. I'll leave it here for somebody else because I don't need to take this. So I took a picture and put it in the Facebook page. And I'm like, thank you for all of the reminders today, God. Because if you look for all the things to go wrong instead of all the things to go right, if you look for all the bad in everyone, then what you're doing is you are actually judging yourself. You're placing judgment upon yourself. And so this beautiful card that I've created here truly was about walking into your light, living in the light. Yellow flowers are your favorite, Amanda? Yeah, there's beauty in yellow flowers. I have another story about yellow flowers. I will share right here as well. And it's from back in my home. I want to read some comments this morning. Most times until someone mentioned Friday, otherwise I don't think about it. Story. Yeah, like the story of a black cat, right? It's the same thing. All of those are just fear stories that were created. And the more that we allow it to define us or to interfere in our lives, the more that we create those experiences in our lives. Judge less, he be judged, my mother has said. Right? Exactly. Hello, everyone else who's joining in. Oh, thank you, Heather. Heather, I don't know if you know how much Heather, you posted that at 11:11. You have no idea how much I needed to hear that. You have no idea how much I needed to hear that. There's so much judgment placed upon, and I get a lot of whys of my book, of writing my book, and why would she want to tell her story? Why would she want to say this? And I'm like, I could only tell my stories when I could tell them from a place of love. And that was the truth, is that More Than Existing wasn't written about a tell-all book of anybody or about my family. It was about when you can move beyond all the things that you thought were not so great, and you can change the story and you can rewrite the story. So there was a lot of judgment placed around a lot of my life that I started to let hurt my heart. And yeah, no, that's that's not truth. So thank you, Heather. Ashley, I find myself saying, what did I do in my past to deserve this? Yeah, stop saying that. Ashley, what am I holding on from my past that allows me to believe this to be true? What am I holding on to? Right? Releasing that karmatic debts. Hi, everybody who's joining. Love seeing people from all over the world. Yeah, haters will hate, and that's the truth. And that's I always say that's the anger that's inside of ourselves sometimes. So the beautiful unassuming. This is the beautiful card. This is my card from the shadows deck of when you can learn to see the beauty even through the darkness, when you can see the light in the dark, when you can know that everyone has something about them, and that when we can return to the sense of dignity. And my newest writings are my newest writings that I'm writing about for the book The Way, which has turned into a massive project, which it was going to be a little project, but has turned into a massive project. The book The Way is a journal so that I can share the questions that I've used to question myself, to return to me, to be grounded and rooted in knowing who I am, and that I don't have to walk in any shame or blame or that, and I'm worthy. Why not me be this person? Why not me? I've put the damn work into being the best that I can be and to do that work. And so when you move beyond that, so it's a journal and it's about questioning. But what I'm writing right now is about the divine divine I am divinely dignified. And that was a saying that came to me in a deep, deep meditation. Corey, you are divinely dignified. And in that, everything changed for me. So I'm writing that through my work. I'm writing that through everything that I do. You're not seeing me do so much of the mediumship right now, because when you understand mediumship, you understand that me as a channel, when I come in here and I'm channeling these messages, this is mediumship. There's so much more to mediumship. When all the collective of the council of the spirits come together, they have messages of wisdom to give us that brings together not so much all about an individual. It is about the messages that help change us so that we can be the change in the world. And so the unassuming is, don't assume you know somebody. Just don't assume when you see somebody, looking like they're angry at the world, or don't assume they're actually angry at the world. This is, every hurt child ends up being a hurt adult that often is either hurting themselves with their actions, their behaviors, or they want somebody else to feel their pain. They're crying out for help. And so instead of us lashing more of that, we reach in and reach deep inside of ourselves. And how can we be the change within us? How can we change our view? How can we change our perspective? How can we become a more open-minded society? We don't need more of the warrior energy. We need more of the gentle. I'm like, if you can be anything today, be a freaking be a Mary, be a Mother Mary, be a Mary Magdalene, be that, reach to the divine, reach to that women who did the right things for the right reasons. Be kind, kindness, benevolence, be that benevolent being up on this earth. Because when you can be that, life changes. Life changes. You've been seeing all the synchronicities of number, all those synchronicities lie. Is it Lijah? Is that so? If when you're seeing all those numbers, it is stop, pay attention. Pay attention, bring it home to you. It's about, change, transformation. The guides are watching you, the angels are watching you. Your guardian angels will never step in to help you unless you ask them. Unless it's like times when they grab you by the back of the shirt and pull you back like that and you go, oh shit, I don't know how I end. But when you're in those times, you're like, no, help me. Like when you scream out with such conviction that you're not stopping to think, oh, I wonder if somebody will help me. I wonder if somebody will be there for me. When you're so beyond that, then that's when it happens. Sorry, I'm kind of like spitting today. That's my lips. My neurological condition is affecting my lips today, and I'm like just trying to. They're numb, so I'm sorry. Um, I'm be- I am being tested every day in my relationship. I don't understand. I have too many bad things happening in my life. Ah, oh, now change the statement, right? What am I continually holding on to? What is it that I need to change within me? Where can I be the change in me? What is it that I keep trying to fix in others? That is a job you can never ever do. You cannot fix anyone else. You can't change anyone else's life, right? And you got to just know that there's like you have to make this world more about you. Right? If you, yeah, you cannot live in the past. The past doesn't define you and it doesn't create you. And if you're stuck in the past and you're living in the past, you cannot move, you cannot create a healthy future. You can never have a healthy future in the past because the past is dead energy. There's no energy. It has no life. So you're trying to breathe life from something that is non-existent, right? The future is not here. It also doesn't exist. It's not here in your hands. What do you have right now? What can you do right now? And if you're waiting, so if you signed up for those free classes that were in the school that was for the Valentine's thing, I did a talk called Creating Your Heaven on Earth. So the book The Way is about creating your heaven on earth. If you keep waiting for good and happiness to come into your life, it's never going to come. If you keep fighting for peace, you'll never know peace. If you keep fighting to make a change, you'll never see a change. And that's the truth. You have to live in peace. If you keep waiting for contentment, oh, I can't wait for my life to be content. I can't wait for my life to be complete. Every time you are on the waiting game of all of that, it will never be there. Peace will never come by fighting for peace. Remember that. You'll never find your way home by searching outside of yourself for all of that. It's all inside. And it's an inside job. It's an inside job. Every day one of new cards is giving you something. Yes, that's what I like to hear. Yes, it's another version of mediumship. And so I'm an oracle, right? That's the whole sentence is that I'm an oracle. I'm a prophetess, I'm a mystic. I can see way down the road, but I don't look to read futures. It's like people say, "Are you a fortune teller?" I'm like, "You create, I can give you guidance that'll help you change your way so that you can create your future fortune." And that's the truth. You can create your own future fortune by making the steps to change your present moment and taking the action steps towards creating your fortunate life. That's the truth. I can give you those little golden pieces and nuggets to hold on to that can help you, but there's so many paths and so many directions. Nothing is set in stone. You have to take the action steps and you get to walk several different paths. You get to choose which one will be the one that'll be the one that takes you there in the easiest of ways, the simplest of ways, instead of complicating life, instead of trying to drag everybody from the past with you or everything of the past with you. You've got to be willing to let go. And so all of that starts to create from there. Heather, oh my God, Corey, my cousin came to me in a dream and asked me to reach out to her granddad to make sure she was okay. How amazing was it? Yes, exactly. They come to us in our dreams because that's when all ego is aside. That's when we are actually living in our highest, like in our most spirited self. We've let go of human connection when we go to sleep. So they can get to us easier. They can speak to us easier. Right, and all you want it to do was run. And so when that PTSD experience comes, you have to remember that that's not, those moments, you're not the person you were in the past, and that's what you have to remember. You're not the person that was in that present in that experience back then. That's not who you are. With all the wisdom and knowledge that you have now, you have the opportunity to move forward. Yes, Lai, your daughter is your guardian angel. She's there trying to tell you. And she's also there in that anxiety. She's trying to break you out of that entrapment, that cage that you got yourself trapped in. That's what they're doing. Yeah, waiting never ends. Exactly. Exactly, Heather. Waiting never ends. It is such a truth. So, this is in this beautiful card, you can see her light, her gold. And then if you look really close, you can see she's wearing a headband. And I'm like, I wore one of those at my high school graduation. I wore one of those sparkly rhinestoney things with the big flowers on the side of my head. And see how she's wearing is, she's wearing her diamond, she's wearing her essence. So she's bringing attention to the third eye. And I always say your human eyes lie. Everything you think you're seeing also has an emotional attachment. So we attach it to emotional experiences of everything that have been to the past. We give it the story. Our third eye our third eye is the eye that doesn't lie. But when it's so closed off, when we're so fearful of what we can't see, right? So I'm like, it's amazing how much faith you can have in fear. How much faith? How much belief you can have in fear? Sorry, how much belief you can have in fear? And you say, "Oh, I need proof," but you got no proof of the fear. You just believe it. So you see how our words are like we're so contradictory to ourselves sometimes. When you stop and you become aware of what you're afraid of, or what you're doing, or how you're living your life, then you start to question your own self and say, "Well, that's just stupid. How can I have that much if I say I need proof?" Then how come I don't need proof of the fear story? But I can believe that, right? How come I can't see faith, but I can see me? So I must have had some faith in me to get me to where I am today, right? And so because why do you need to have that? If you just start to have faith and start to believe in the divine moments, the synchronicity moments that show up, it's amazing things that happen. And so when I got this card, we also wrote her to have attitude. Like she has a little bit of attitude. There's no doubt there's a little bit of attitude. But why does she have attitude? Why do we get attitude? I know why I got attitude because I got freaking tired of being picked on. I get tired of being called weird and odd. And I get tired of, right? And so you become defensive of who you are because you're fighting so hard for that identity. I fought so hard to be allowed to be me, but to be just be me wasn't good enough because it was bothersome to people. It was bothersome that I be me. And I remember somebody saying to me, "You need to take all of that spiritual stuff down away from your station. You need to not have your Reiki certificates up. You should not be doing your healing work inside the salon. You should, because you're offending people. You're hurting, you're offending people. You're driving away clients." And I'm like, no, that's the kind of people I don't want around me. If they're offended, that's to do with them. That's nothing to do with me. And if I have to be hated because people want to live in their limited beliefs, then so be it. But I am not letting go of the parts of me that I have fought too freaking hard to have. And that's the truth. And if that's a problem for people, then they have to adjust. And I'm like, that's a healthy attitude. But the other attitude is when you become the FU to the world. And it's more harmful to you than it is to the world. And so when you become that defensive that you're hurting yourself, instead of thinking that you're hurting other people, people just don't care. People are going about their lives, but you're the only person who's suffering because of it. When you stop punishing yourself by having to be the rebel to every cause, to having to be that so defensive in who you are, that you said F you to the world so much that it becomes destructive, that when you change that, your life changes. You're allowed to be soft and still be strong, and your weaknesses are allowed to show. To let yourself be weak is also a sign of strength, that you can reach out. So this beautiful card has a lot of stories. It's so hard to lay down the stories. This is my problem. I'm trying to write the booklet to go with the cards. And it is the hardest thing in the world to do because the cards got so many messages and they keep changing. And so this is the face. So what I wrote about her is that she truly is the face of love, and it will always come out on top. Self of everything is not selfish. Putting self into everything is not selfish or shy or sly. It is love. I save the best of me for those who can share my light. And that's the truth. I share the best of me for those who can share my light, not try to dim it, not try to take it, but allow me to be able to walk beside. And there's such truth in there when you can set everything else free and just let it go. And just let it go. Yes, I've definitely had to deal with that too. Heather, definitely. Um, Lie. I had a dream a man put a finger on my forehead and said he's never seen a third eye like mine. Then he pushed me back by my forehead. You know what's happening to you, right? And that is the essence of, so I would say none of us have a gift any more powerful than anyone else. But so sometimes when we hold it in, so sometimes what they're telling us is that that could be the most stubborn third eye they've ever seen in their life, and that you're not letting it open up. And I can tell you, a lot of us who are from the East Coast, that are from Newfoundland, that came from that European parts of, like, when we came from, like, the Irish, the Scottish, the English backgrounds, the Romanian gypsy, all of that, all those parts that had a lot of that, we have a lot of witch in us. We have a lot of healer in us. And I have my white side of my family and I have my Aboriginal side of my family. My Aboriginal side of my family, very gifted, very healers, a lot of scaredness around it, a lot of fear. Never for me. I've accepted this since I was a little girl. My great-grandfather used to meet me on the street, and he used to tell me so many stories. He was my great-grandfather, and his name was Francis Perrier. Francis, and so just like the water Perrier, that's one of my last family names. And so he would tell me all kinds of stuff. And I remember hearing a story about him putting his hands on the face of a nurse, and she had a birthmark on her face. And he said to her, "Come here, my love." And he put his hand up on her face, and he was in hospital at the time. I think it was before he passed away. And I'm only repeating a story. I don't know all the story of this. And he put his hand up on her face, and he told her to not to look at it for so many weeks. A few months later, the birthmark was gone. It had left her face. That was my great-grandfather. One of my great aunts, I don't know where she places exactly in the story. One of my great aunts or great aunts was a medicine woman, and she was a midwife, and she spoke all these languages, and she traveled all around Newfoundland, and she delivered over 700 babies in her lifetime. There's so many things and so many gifts within us. My grandmother and her twin sister could talk telepathically to each other. We all have inside of us the ability to be the healer within, the guru within. What they used to call witch was people who questioned the conformity of a belief system, of having to be stuck to one value. That Mother Earth, the herbs and all of this stuff that we have on Earth are all here to help us heal. And that's what they question, is like, how can you limit yourself to a belief when there's so much to learn from? And so that's where we got hung and strung up and all of those things. Same reason how poor old Jesus ended up on a cross, right? Same thing, all because of people's fear stories, and they're wanting to get rid of people who thought differently. And so this is, we all have it inside of us. We all have that ability. Don't assume that you're not gifted. Don't say you're not gifted. We're all not here to bring our gifts so into the forefront like this, but we are all here to do the healing on ourselves. We're all here to be the best that we can be. We're all here to use our gifts to trust our own intuition, our instincts, to know that there's so much more for us, right? Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone else who's joining. He was an amazing person, wasn't he, Heather? He had amazing powers. I heard a lot about him and listened to his stories at home. Yes, Heather, he was my, I I adored that man, adored him. And I used to call him grandfather, grandfather, grandfather. And I used to run down the street to meet my grandfather. Yesterday I spoke about my grandmother. And there's a lot of wisdom in speaking about these people that are around you in your life. And that's not being stuck in the past. That's remembering that there was a lot of wisdom and knowledge given to us from the past for us to hold on to. Well, I have this amazing school that you can sign up into, and some of it is free. And it's called Corey School of Magic, and that's the word that scares people, and that's good. But it's the word is still on, and those classes are all free. You can go in and take advantage of those. It's such a beautiful journey. Ah, and then we have the imposter card. So I'm going to bring her up on the page. Let me see. This takes me a moment because I got to find her. Am I back? Hope I'm back. Okay. I think I'm back, so let me bring up. Okay. If I disappear on you guys, I may have just. Yes, thank you, Brenda. Good stuff's in this school. So here's our other card of today. And this is, now I'm just pulling a couple cards to kind of validate our first card. So this is another card in my deck of Oracle cards. Yeah, my internet is really freaking sucky. We're having some major issues with it. So praying I stay on. If not, I'll have to, if not, then if you lose me, then it'll lose the broadcast. So let me see if I can get through this without us losing the broadcast. So this is O'Malley, and this is beautiful O'Malley. See, as I'm speaking about the ancestors, as I'm speaking about that whole Irish, Scottish, your ancestors don't only give us, give us our problems. They give us love. They give, they give us a lot of good stuff. They give us a lot of wisdom. They give us a lot of knowledge, and they genetically pass on a lot of their good. But when we spend our lifetime trying to live in the light or the eyes of trying to be as good as other people, including like, I want to be as good as my grandmother. I want to do, when you try to live in the light of somebody else, or when you look at the celebrities, or you look at the filtered views or the magazine articles of people, and you say, oh, I just want to look like that. I just want to be like that. It is such an exhausting journey. I call that the imposter light. The same thing when people would bring me in pictures and magazines, and I would say, that's impossible because you're not that person. That's not your hair. That is not you. So you want me to give you an imitation of you. And they're like, but I love that color. I'm like, but that color is not true because that's a magazine color. And so by not true, what I mean is there's two color wheels. I would say there's the color wheel of God, and that's the one that has the gold in it, but they can't bring that into computer graphic life. So they have another color wheel, and it has green instead of the gold. Gold is the color of God, the God consciousness. It is the smallest molecule that they can't bring into that. So whatever's created a filtered look, an image, it's you can't replicate that fully within the human connection. And so the more that you try to replicate somebody of the past, or you say, this was the traditions, my grandmother always did that, so I want to do that, I want every Christmas to be like this. Well, you're always setting yourself up for failure, for disappointment, because then you expect everyone else to live in the dream of what your past looked like, or what you think your life should look like, that nobody else can even see your freaking vision. Nobody else wants to be a part of it. Nobody else wants the same tradition. But you're so fearful of letting go that you become an imposter. You get exhausted. And see, she's empty. She's got nothing left in her eyes. But there's magic in her. She's not seeing her magic. So because you can't have the color that's in the magazine, why can't you still have a beautiful color? So just tell me tell me the things that you love, is what I used to say to people. And then tell me the things you don't like. Tell me the things that don't make you happy. Tell me the things that you don't want in your hair. Tell me the things that you don't like in color in clothes. What kind of clothes do you not like to wear? All of that matters. So when you start to realize how much you matter and how important you are, you stop looking into the light of everyone else. You stop wanting to filter yourself out. You stop wanting to create an image of something that is so far away from yourself that you are losing yourself. Or you keep trying to make everyone else happy and trying to make them better people. You can't make you can't make people better people. That's an inside job and they have to do it. And being able to move beyond that and trusting this. And so she is O'Malley, and O'Malley, there's such magic to O'Malley. There's such magic to the gypsy soul. There's such magic to that, kind of like she's stepping up and she's just like, okay, I'm coming out of this energy. And if you can see, she's walking through the veil. So she's coming through the veil. She's coming through the veils of realization, of awakening, of moving beyond the illusions. And so she's letting us start to see her. As you can see, she's wearing a mask. We all wear a lot of masks in a lot of roles. We show up as different people to be who we are. And so this is her now stepping into her light and becoming her and just trusting that journey. So, she's got her colorful her hair. She's a little bit on the magical side. She's letting you see the magic. She's starting to, you can see her lips are kind of stitched. And so that she's been like holding back her communication, what she wants to say. That is so defeating. And it kind of suppresses us to a point that you just start to really lose yourself when you feel like you can't speak, when you feel like you can't talk. So she's coming up, and she's an up and comer. She's an up and comer in the Oracle cards, and she's actually one of the first cards that was created. She's mother energy. She's definitely not maiden. She's moved beyond that. She's definitely playing the mother role very strong, like that I have to mother everybody, that I forget to mother myself. And as she's coming out, she's remembering her. And the red flowers really, and see how they're blooming, that signifies passion, that she truly is becoming a little more passionate. She's got that drive. She's got that desire to start to move into her energy. So Aries is the first of the zodiac, also a very passionate sign. And that is kind of what the red represents, and that rooted and grounded also. And so she's moving forward. She's stepping through. So she's clearing the clutter. She's clearing the clutter of the mind to get to where she is. So that's O'Malley. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You can relate to that card, Carlene? Good. All right. Next card. And this card is one of my favorite cards because where it came from is such a crazy little story. So I'll see if I can find that. Let me see. Open. So I'm going to hide this one. And I'm going to open this card. So here's our future card here. This is our card to go with our 3 cards. And this is the Eye of the Beholder. Her name is Queenie. Her name is Queenie. And I remember being called, who do you think you are? The Queen? And that is such a condescending story sometimes. And, you get caught in the story of like when you see that Queen of Hearts and people get labeled as being a bad person. Like the Queen gets labeled as this, this energy of if you're Queen, well, you think you're better than everybody. You got to be mean. You got to be not nice. But that's not a truth, right? If you look at the Disney movies and you look at the ones that were the good queens and the bad queens and those type of things, it is all based on their past experiences, that what turns us ugly, what makes us become ugly, what makes us do ugly things. And that is the hurt and the pain that takes over when we feel as if the whole world is against us. So when I started this card, I was out walking again. And when the card came, oh my God. Speak about queens. That was my mother calling. Hold on, I gotta hang up on you. I'm on live. You gotta call back. You call me back. I'll call you back in a few minutes. Bye. That's my mother. Um, and so, who's a big part of my life, who actually just moved back to Newfoundland not long ago. Um, Hold on. I'm just trying to find this card to go with this. So when you write this card and you see it, right? And so when she came to me in the picture, she came more as, believe it or not, like a garbage can. So I had that whole, so this is the image that I drew. Oh, trying to make sure. This is the image I drew. And this is the card that came back. This is how myself and amazing artist works together. She got this story. The world is really simple if we just be good human beings, right? Yeah. If we just be good human beings. I was outside walking and there was a garbage can and I wanted to find rocks and just throw it in the fucking garbage can. I was so mad about something that was happening in my day again. And I just wanted, and I just felt like garbage. I just felt, and so I just wanted to kick the garbage can. And it was like, I am, and so then I start to see that light in a moment. I start to laugh, and when I start to laugh, because I was mad at the guy, I was mad, and I start to laugh, and I'm like, well, that's just the craziest thing. If anyone's watching you, I don't think you're fucking nuts out here. And that's when I start to laugh, and that's when your energy starts to come back up, and then you start to go back to your heart. So when you laugh at yourself, you start to laugh. Oscar the Grouch cans, right? And that was the problem. Somebody was being real fucking grouchy in my life, and it was really pissing me off that day. And I am this. I am created of or trying to be this. And so this was the heart. So when you look at the heart and the rainbow around it, the rainbow is the rainbow bridge, is when we move from our lower energies, our lower energy centers, and we rise things into our heart. So when our thoughts come out of our mouth, we're talking to ourselves and we can hear ourselves, and then it goes into our heart. It gives us time to think about things. And if sometimes we think before we speak or we give ourselves time, then we don't have such a moment. If we're angry, we're upset, we can become a biatch. We can become a little bit of a bitch with our words, right? And so sometimes we have those moments that we just spiel out something we don't really mean. It's not what we meant. It's not what we really feel. But in the moment, we're sad. In the moment, we're hurt. And then other people build it up and they create the story that they become that grouch. They become that Oscar. They become that. Or they treat people like people that are good to them are the ones they treat the worst. And then the people that are not good to them are the ones that they keep trying to fix and heal. And so they're always trying to help the people and trying to fix the people, and they're rejecting the good people in their lives. They take out all their shit out on the good people, the people that are always there for them, the people that got their back. They're there. And then they're the ones that get treated like crap because what you want and the person you want to be nice to you is not being nice to you. And so you'll hold on to them until finally you wake up, until finally you see that day. So when I wrote this card, it was like, I am this. So I am that heart. We are all that. And when we can rise our vibration, we have a whole lot less enemies and we stop being the enemy with ourselves. And I am not that. So the green girl, I am not that. She represented the Oscar, the garbage can, that whole thing. And so I am not that. When you dump your stuff and throw your pain at me, I feel like what this is actually meant to be. The garbage can. I feel sick. I feel ill. I feel hurt. I feel pain. And it's okay to say that you're feeling those things, right? And so when your heart becomes the garbage can, the dumping station, the emotional punching bag for what everyone else is doing, for what other people are doing, and then you wonder why she's acting like the storm, why she's acting like the tornado, why she's acting like that stirred up energy that you see. You wonder why she's become angry. You wonder why she's shut down. You wonder why she's not nice. You wonder why she's becoming this way. If you treat her like this, like the heart, if you treat her like she is the world, you watch and see how you will see her light shine. You will see her plant new seeds and she will blossom and she will shine. And so the beautiful girl in the purple behind is the whole essence of our soul self. When we can be when we're no longer the emotional punching bag, the garbage can, the dumping station, or we're not doing that to somebody else. We all get to reap the rewards, and we all get to shine. It makes a big difference. You don't have to like what somebody else is doing, you don't have to agree. But you also have to recognize that sometimes people are just venting. And it's like, and when they just get it out, we don't need to repeat it, we don't need to let it go anywhere else, let it die. Because the moment we want to project and tell somebody all the hurtful things that somebody else is saying about them, or that they think somebody is saying about them, the more that we create that energy as well. So it starts with us making a choice to be conscious of our words, making a choice to look at ourselves deeper. And why am I not, why am I rejecting the people that love me and accepting the people that I want to love me, that don't love themselves, that don't understand love, that don't know love? Because when they don't understand, they don't know love, and they can't love themselves, it's impossible for them to love you. It is not okay for you to be an emotional punching bag, a garbage can, a dumpster, and it's not okay for us to do that to other people. So the world is really simple. If we all really just learn how to be good human beings, to show dignity to each other, respect is earned. But it is our responsibility in this world to be kinder, to be nicer. And it starts with being kinder and nicer to us. So that's my message of today. I'm all done now too, Amy. So thank you for being here, Amy. Thank you for joining in. Thank you to everybody for coming, for being here. I started out on the 45 days doing just the one card, and somehow we end up into a full reading, but I want it to be for everybody. I want to be able to share this. And so I don't pick out an individual person, because I always say, it really hurts my heart to have to leave here thinking that so many people are sad, disappointment that they're not getting chosen. I will be back doing my lives. I may be back tonight. I can't guarantee it. It depends on my energy. I am still trying to get my energy back up. Only if I have energy. That's my new story. Only if I have energy. I have cut down my availabilities to individual appointments because I teach so much. Only if I have energy. So I'm making the time for me to make myself as important. So I'm not dumping my own garbage on myself. And that's something that you've got to be very careful that you're not doing to you. So thank you so much for all being here. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Enjoy Family Day. And I know it's cold, but there's sun shining. So enjoy it. Much, much love. Mwah. Thank you all. Bye-bye.